All right, we're going to go live, man. I'm not waiting 10 minutes because I'm actually going to be kicking it off here soon with John F. White and doing a recording on mythology. And there's no telling where that conversation is going to go, so I'm excited. I'm going to go ahead and get us going on an intro, and we'll get started here, guys. All right. Welcome to MythVision Podcast. I'm excited, guys. I got a couple new intros for the show. I hope my audio is not too loud. What's up, everybody? Box Fencer, Limkel. Sorry. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correct. Guys, welcome. Are we MythVision, Anthony says. Well, we are MythVision. Welcome back, guys. I'm really excited. I'm doing a show here real soon with John F. White from Craigenford, and I wanted to get on here, man. I did a live like 2 days ago, and I said, you know what? This was cool to have some of you guys jump on and hang out with me and talk to me. So I want to do that. I want to have you guys come and hang out and talk to me for like 45 minutes or so. Won't be a super long live, but I want to start to interact with you guys a little more if I can, and give you guys some advice, if you will, to make this thing grow. I have a Discord, guys. Let me show you guys again. Let me get this link down here real quick so you guys can start joining in. When you join, you'll be in the queue down below. And if I have someone on, I'll probably pull multiple people on at once today instead of just one at a time. So here is the StreamYard link. You click that, you'll be in the queue, and I can bring you guys on. But let me show you guys the Discord real quick while you guys are jumping on. I'm all up in my computer right now, so let me share my screen. Application. It's going to take a second to download, or to get it, not download, but bring it up. Yes. So if I super chat when there's a guest on, for example, Dr. Bob, does the guest get a share of the money? What's the best way to support you having Bob on your show more? Honestly, the best way to help do that is through PayPal, because most people who have a PayPal already, they don't take any of the funds, but YouTube super chat, I'm not sure how much they take. So it's hard to tell like how much I'm keeping out of that money that they super chat. But I know that it comes to us, and I ended up talking to Dr. Bob afterwards and say, hey, here, I'm going to send you this money and stuff. So he really appreciates the funds. Of course, it keeps him coming on, and it helps me keep this thing going because the scholars see that, okay, look, I'm not only coming on there and getting my books promoted and things like that, but I can also make some money doing so. So I really do appreciate that question, though. Oh, my buddy, Recreating Adam. Thank you for the €5, bro. You're back. Good, man. Good. We'll be talking more about that later off this live, man. Definitely, reach out to me, bro. I appreciate it. Guys, let me ask you a quick question. The thumbnail that notified you I went live, is that thumbnail just like the basic little banner from my YouTube? Because I tried to set up a thumbnail where it was me and the mic and things like that, and it says I'm live. Can you guys comment down here and let me know what the thumbnail looked like? Because I don't know if there's a technical difficulty there, by the way. All right. While you guys are commenting, sharing the screen, let me show you guys what we have here so far. All right. So this is the Discord. And pulling up the Discord here. All right. MythVision right here is the symbol. The link is in the description, but here you've got like general memes and jokes. This is a chat room, guys. Like back in the day, they used to have chat rooms. If you don't know about Discord, it's good to find out about it now. I've got moderators. I've got people online here, and there's 79 offline right now. So a lot of people don't know about this Discord, but I'm trying to create a community where we can talk about ideas. Yeah, there's going to be debates. Yeah, there's going to be disagreements, but the information's there. And we can have a chat room here on Discord where you can openly discuss. There's even voice rooms where you can talk. or there's text rooms, and we're adding to it. So the more you guys come in with ideas, the more we can add astrotheology rooms, you name it, man. It'll be a really, really cool thing to do, is to start being active in this community. And that's down in the description. So if you did not know this, make sure you guys go join the Discord. If you don't have one, it's pretty self-explanatory to get one. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. You guys can come hang out with us and start making this community happen. Make it happen. The Discord is a chat room. It's like, you know how on Facebook you guys can message and post back and forth? This is like direct, immediate communication. It's more interactive than Facebook, so to speak. Now, if you're on Facebook and you're trying to find YouTube or MythVision on Facebook, let me show you what I got going on there. This is going to be the Facebook groups that I have are MythVision Podcast group, which you see here. Let me go home. Let me show you all my groups. All right. So I've got the MythVision Podcast group. This group we just started, Myth, Legend, and Old Charter. That's going to be talking about like everything mythology, not just Abrahamic mythology, but everything mythology. I'm an admin of a couple of these groups here, like Mythical Jesus versus Historical Jesus. If you guys are interested in the whole mythicism versus historicism debate, that's one. Freedom from Religion, Myths History, that's my group too. I own that one. Roman Provenance of Christianity. If you guys are interested in like possible Roman influence or the Romans having any influence on potentially Christianity in the New Testament, things like that. You know, Joseph Atwell, James Stevens Valiant, other potential Roman provenance positions. This group right here is one of them. And you'll know it's this group because at the top, I've got some of the books like Operation Messiah, James, the Brother of Jesus by Robert Eisenman, Piso Christ, Jesus with Caesar, Creating Christ and Caesar's Messiah. That's the picture at the top. All right. Done sharing the groups, right? Now we got to get to... something else. All right, hold on. Here we go. Did he conclusively say that he thinks Jesus' character was an actual guy? Yes, Sean. Rabbi does believe that Jesus was a historical person for sure. He would disagree. All right, cool. Thumbnail had my pick. Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate that. Let me catch up with you guys here. Once again, thanks for that super chat recreating, Adam, man. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you so much. I really do. Discord's like a maze. I feel you. Well, we got the Facebook groups. So join the Facebook groups and get part of the community. And you guys can help like share this stuff out there, make MythVision grow. I'm interviewing Jesus tomorrow with Dr. Price, guys. So Jesus from Australia will be interviewed tomorrow. And I've been thinking about like, you know, I've had like nights where I'm going to bed thinking about how do I want to do this. I'm not going to do it with the like going into epistemology and stuff too much. There might be a few questions that are epistemological questions, but I kind of wanted to do a role play type show and give this guy a chance to not feel the pressure that he's felt from every person who's interviewed him and mocked him and downplayed him. But I do want to ask some probing questions and see how interesting the conversation goes with Dr. Robert M. Price. That'll be tomorrow, but it won't be live. It will be tomorrow, though. And I'll plan on editing it and getting it out in a few days. All right, guys, going to another window. Here we are. Let me do this. This will be easier. All right, there we go. Where's it at? Here we are. Sharing. All right, guys. This is Anthony Magnabosco. He's got a pretty big YouTube channel. I'm showing you guys one more time for those of you who have not seen. There are over 100 videos. I repeat, over 100 videos that I have on Patreon that I have not released on YouTube because the algorithm on YouTube, I have to space them out or I just won't grow. There won't be any growth to the channel and I'll just be spitting out videos with very little views and interaction. I'm trying to get Dr. Price, of course, out there, more of his material. But you guys can join the Patreon for as little as $3. Some of you guys, since the last live, I really appreciate it. Started at $5. Some of you started at $10 a month or whatever. But the access to all this content, man, here's one right here, for example, Dr. Samuel Zinner. Let me give you a few examples. He believes, and he's an ancient and modern linguistic expert when it comes to language and stuff. He believes that the Testimonium Flavianum is not interpolated at all. Now, that's really a wild position that you would think for someone to take. But he breaks down the passage. There was about this time Jesus, a wise man, if it be lawful to call him a man. And he breaks it down and explains how it's not an interpolation. You guys might want to check that out. Recently, Dr. Price did his little Judaizing Jesus book, and this was an interesting interview that he broke down. It's like 40 minutes long. I haven't released it yet. All this is on Patreon, guys. Critical response to Gentiles. I mean, it goes on and on and on, guys, in the Patreon. So if you haven't joined the Patreon, not only am I from my heart thankful because it helps me on MythVision grow and do what I do to make this my primary, I guess you'd say, what I'm trying to do full time, but you guys can see over 100 videos. I also got a Teespring account. So if you become a patron, I'm going to plan on discussing this with the guy who helped me get my website built on how to get a t-shirt out to certain level of patrons at a certain point. Since you're a patron, you might as well get a free MythVision merchandise, if you will, some of that stuff. So you guys can start rocking the We Are MythVision product, if you will. I'm just scrolling, man, because there's so much stuff. Some of this has been released. I release everything on Patreon as soon as I get done editing it and uploading it. It's on private on YouTube. But you guys on MythVision Patreon will see everything that I have. And everyone on regular YouTube has to wait for it, which is normal. You guys get the privilege since you're helping me grow personally, making this something I can do. You guys can get access to all of it. This thing's loading slow. No, I don't know what happened to the page. All right, back to you guys. So what I'm asking you guys to do is join the Facebook groups to help us grow and share this content out there. That way you guys can interact with not only me, but guys that are in the circle of MythVision. I ask that you guys join the Discord. I'm asking if you guys can join the Patreon. There's so much options coming, and I'm waiting for YouTube thing to update so that I can actually put the Teespring on there. And if you guys want to buy a shirt from MythVision or whatever, you know what I mean? That would be awesome. You guys can actually rock a shirt and whatnot. Alan Bird. Yeah, I see you on Facebook all the time, bro. I'm a patron on too many channels. However, I do love your content. How can I make a one-off donation from time to time? Just go to my PayPal. Go to my PayPal, and you guys can actually do that. Am I live here, guys? Is everything working? Everything's going good? Make sure I didn't glitch out. Somebody let me know in the comment section. All right, I'm gonna post you guys the link if you want to join me on here for a minute. Hit that like button, everybody. Hit that like button. All right, there's the StreamYard link. Cool, we're working. Awesome. All right. There's the link to the StreamYard, guys. Come on, hang out, talk about whatever, mention whatever. If you guys have any compliments or if you have any criticisms, whatever you want to bring on, man. I'm here live, and you guys got a few minutes with me before I go live with, or not live, but I do a recording with John F. White on mythology. I look forward to doing that as well. All right, go. So anybody wants to join me live, feel free. There's the link, and you guys can come hang out with me. In the meantime, we're interviewing Jesus tomorrow. He's in Australia. His wife believes that she's Mary Magdalene, and he has followers. Some of them claim to be the reincarnated, like Cornelius from the New Testament. Potentially, some of them claim to be reincarnated disciples. I may not be accurate on that, but it'll be interesting. We're trying to find out if the Russian Jesus is in prison in Russia, because they don't play games in Russia when it comes to religion. But if he's not, we want to try and maybe get a Russian translator to do an interview with the Russian Jesus. Not many people do that, huh? I'm looking forward to it. So, all right, we got somebody in the queue. What is going on, my friend?
I'm doing good. And you?
I'm doing good, brother. How you doing?
Great.
So, talk to me.
I've been watching your stuff a bit. I am an ex-ultra Orthodox Jew, and I've been asking about if we could see more Jewish content. I think that would also disprove all the Abrahamic religions together.
Yeah, I definitely. Well, recently with having Dr. Price on with Rabbi Tovik, the goal wasn't to be critical of the Hebrew, especially with him being on the show. I'm trying to create animosity. What's up, Jacob? Welcome, man. But
how you doing?
I think anyone who watches this content and watches MythVision long enough, and you would probably agree or disagree. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. After watching what we do in a kind way, we're really undermining all of it. If you really look at it, you're getting educated in a way where you're like, okay, they're not like dropping a nuclear bomb and saying, we destroyed you. But we're actually inevitably thread by thread ripping apart the fabric of Abrahamic religions by showing its mythology, by showing that it's, where did Adam and Eve come from, the Epic of Gilgamesh, maybe where the Noah flood story is being borrowed from, and showing why these aren't literal historical events in the literal sense. They're mythology, whether there's historical relevancy to some of the names, people, places, and stuff. It doesn't really take away from the fact that it's created from these other cultures. I hear a noise. Is that you, Jacob, or say? And how do I pronounce your name?
Me?
Yeah, how do I pronounce it?
Gigi.
Gigi. All right.
Just Gigi.
Yeah. So tell me what is it specifically on MythVision that you like?
Well, I watched the show with Rabbi Singer, so that was good on the confronting the Christian part of it. But besides the biblical part, I'm saying on the Jewish side, like, of course you could disprove some of the biblical, trying to show that it's taken from Mesopotamian legends, but there's no definite proof yet. Like, they're claiming still, you just didn't find the original Hebrew ones, that they took it from them. People are claiming that they're just claiming, no, that you just didn't find the older ones yet that are in Hebrew.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard that actually from a Christian apologist recently too, that was trying to argue the same thing. Like, well, how do you know that the Bible wasn't borrowed from by the Mesopotamian? And it's just really mind-boggling. And even the denial of any type of carbon dating on some of these like archaic tablets and stuff that we have that are really old. I mean, extremely old. Oh, no. Carbon dating doesn't count. Just go to Ken Ham. He'll tell you the Earth's 6,000 years old. And, like those denials of any type of scientific methodology is like evident on anyone who, when you're struggling with faith or any evidence-based science, they're always going to side with faith because it's defensive. I was there. I was a Christian. I was into the apologetics. I did all of that because I didn't want to. The book had to tell me what the truth was, not any other scientific evidence or anything like that. We can't let that mess up the worldview that we believe. That's sacred. You can't,
Right.
So whatever.
But then they always use the argument also that they were talking to the people of the time, and that's the stories they knew, so they were just using what they knew. And it's not a scientific book. It's not a historical book. It's the word of God and what he wants you to do.
Right.
And so they have those claims as well. So I think that's something should be confronted. And
so we need more. You're saying we need more discussion from scholars on the skepticism of the old or Hebrew Bible, if you will, like to be more skeptical on these things and showing pretty much how they were made, not only how they were made or where they come from, but showing criticisms of them.
And yeah, criticism of the ideologies also, especially.
And you were, just in case you didn't know this, Jacob, he was once an ultra Orthodox Jew. Are you located in Israel?
I don't want to give out my location now, but I was born and raised in Jerusalem. Yes.
Okay. So what's your social security number? No, I'm just kidding with you. No, man, I get it. It's totally fine. I understand. And yeah, because there are some fanatics in the world, and I don't blame you one bit. So that's something I'm going to start doing as well this year. But I am also going beyond just the Abrahamic religions. The Abrahamic religions aren't going anywhere.
Yeah, I've watched your other show with the Nordic guy with all the Nordic stories and how they also come from Mesopotamia. But yeah, it's pretty interesting.
I'm going to be recording with John here in just a bit.
But you see, Jews use this as saying, "Oh, you see, then it all comes from our area," and then they use the city of Jericho. I think Jericho, right? The oldest city found, and so they say, "Oh, you see, it all originated from there, and we're the original Canaanites, and it is from us."
Right,
and,
right.
You know, they try to claim that.
Yeah, I think if you continue, and this is just from my own research, the more you look at this stuff, the more you study from both sides, you start realizing what's going on. I'm not going to jab, right? Like, people want to believe something, they're going to believe it no matter what. I'm not going out of my way to try and attack people, right? And make them, you must think this way. But I am going to be an honest searcher. So MythVision Podcast is going to continue to bring on criticism because I like the scientific method. I like poking holes to see if things stand that test. And if we can poke enough holes, I think more people will start seeing through the BS.
Enough people with doubts. This couple left in the end won't matter. But,
exactly. Yeah. With you, though, I think that there's a lot of interesting things there, but they have to deny carbon dating. That method isn't good enough, or it's not. It doesn't really accurately portray when these things were, and they'll give examples. Now, I'm actually contacting someone who's an expert in carbon dating, a scientific expert in the carbon dating, as well as getting someone who also is an expert in carbon dating when it comes to New Testament fragments and like the biblical literature that they have from papyri and whatnot. But I want to get the experts on because I think over the past couple decades of us, using the carbon dating method, we've gotten a little bit better, if that makes sense. It's like we're not like we were, and there might have been some bad examples in the past where we weren't accurately being able to find stuff out. But I want to bring scientists on. I want to have evolutionists come on and show why we did come from previous species and stuff. That undermines the whole premise of God making a clay figure and breathing life in.
Also, Jews believe monkeys come from the Tower of Babylon.
Really?
You knew that?
No,
people. But I think it's in one of them. Medrash, what they call Medrash.
Huh.
So there's God confused everyone's languages, and the worst of them turned into monkeys.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that. What's up, dude?
So that's actually, I bet you could find that legend in other ancient Near East cultures.
I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, it doesn't shock me, man.
A lot of the Medrash definitely come from these Mesopotamian tales and other stuff. But that should be more interesting, is to look in not the Old Testament. I would love to see a movie using the Old Testament with the commentary plus Medrash and Kabbalah on top. That would be wild.
Dude, that would be, like Dr. Price says, can you imagine them making like they did with Iron Man and all these other great movies, do one on Revelation, for example, not just the typical videos, but can you imagine them trying to play out Revelation? That would be an interesting movie. I don't know if we quite understand it still.
I don't know what's Revelation, because that's in
the Apocalypse of John, the last book in the canon, in our New Testament canon. So, look, MythVision is educational and presents a diversity of views, theories, and discussions about the historical origins of the book Religions. So, yeah, I definitely enjoy going all over the place. But once you see it, man, once you see all of these different worldviews and cultures trying to develop something here. One of the big places I went to before I completely escaped it was, well, maybe God, the divine, not just a single God by one name, the overarching God of all things, he's showing the truth in all cultures in some way, and they're all kind of looking at they're all blind men looking at the elephant. I'm sure you've heard the analogy, 6 wise men of Hindustan to learning much inclined. They all went to see the elephant, though all of them were blind. To each find satisfaction, to ease their mind or something like that. And then the first one goes to touch the elephant, and he's like, oh, the elephant is very much like a fan. And, but he's like, touch the tail or something. The other one says it's like a rope, and it's like this. And they're all arguing at the end, like really like we do today with religion. No, the elephant's this, the elephant's that. And they go back and forth. And then at the very end, it's like, all of them were partly in the right, but all of them were in the wrong. And, I really love that little poem / if you will, parable thing. Oh, dude, guys, this is the second coming of Jesus. Welcome.
Hey, man, how you doing?
Doing good, man. But yeah, I was just giving the blind men and the elephant analogy. I love that poem. That was my last spot before I left the box, if you will, and started to go, you know what? Maybe there's a natural explanation. Loving all my people in faith. My mom's a Christian. My dad, I think he's somewhere on the fence somehow. He's like a recovering alcoholic, so I think he thinks he needs to believe in a higher power in order to get sober. But I started going, you know what? There's probably a natural explanation for all these things potentially. Even if we don't have the answer for them yet, there may be an answer that we can explain, and it doesn't have to be the volcano was Yahweh, and all those natural things start to disappear the more we learn. That's just my opinion. I'll shut up. What's up, Nathan? What's up, guys?
Not much. I only just caught the past 5 minutes of this conversation as well. I don't know how long you've been live for, so I don't know everything you've been talking about.
Dude, we're just talking about Abrahamic religions and our good friend here, Gigi, if I'm not mistaken, that is it Gigi? Something like that. Okay. I don't want to butcher his name. He was an ultra Orthodox Jew at one point, and he was talking about one of the things he'd like to see on MythVision is more poking at the Abrahamic side, like the Hebrew Bible, showing why that doesn't work. And problems with it, showing how it's really human in nature, and it's not this perfect religion, so to speak. So,
well, it definitely also, if you speak to archaeologists these days, they'll tell you it doesn't match up with the evidence on the ground whatsoever at all. Nothing. Yeah. Like what they thought 150 years ago and stuff they were trying to claim, it's all false. Carbon dating changed everything.
It did. And then Israel Finkelstein, he's doing such good work as well. I love his stuff. I actually emailed him and he responded.
I didn't see any of his stuff in English. No, I didn't see any. I've seen his contact in Hebrew. I've seen it, but I haven't seen anything in English.
I'd like to get him on, man. Big time. Dude, you didn't miss anything special, Nathan, other than that small conversation. And prior to that, I was just showing people that I have, and this is no lie, dude, I record so much. I take this camera with this is the new hardware that I have, and I go and I sit at Robert Price's house, and I'll get 20 videos in one sitting, and I go every week. And so I have at least 100 videos on Patreon that have not been released to YouTube. I could take a break for a month and a half and still keep MythVision going. Like you guys would think I didn't skip a beat. But I wanted to plug that to let people know that's going to help me grow this thing and put all my eggs into the MythVision basket. And so that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, I think the more you publish as well, the more it helps with the algorithm. But hey, a new person.
What is going on, man? We got a party going.
I think you're muted. It may be.
Is it?
Hi, Derek. It's me.
There you go.
Hey, what's up, brother?
Hi, Jacob. Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you. I'm Leo. I'm
Liron. Is it Liron?
No.
How do I say it?
Look, Derek, I'm sorry to tell you, every time you ask someone for a word in Hebrew, am I pronouncing it the right way? The honest answer is not even close.
Not even close.
Not even close.
I'm
Okay,
gonna call
so
you Levi. No, I'm just kidding.
no, I'm not a Levi though. I'm pretty sure I'm not that. I'm the other one.
Liron.
All right, so here's a Hebrew lesson for everyone. So to pronounce the race, which is not an R, you just use an R to symbolize it. It has nothing to do with it though. You first need to pronounce the ch. And to deeper, it's really guttural. It comes from the base of your throat. Ch.
I don't even know if I'm that manly, dude. I gotta build my Adam's apple up a little bit.
Well, women can do it too. So,
Oh my gosh.
so it's ch, and then you gotta say ch, r. Okay, but don't say chara because that's a word for sit. So practice with another word.
So,
I'm
dude,
not kidding.
I've got both of you guys are from Israel, and you guys are both out of the faith. And
I was never in.
I
any
thought you
faith,
lived there.
Curtis. No, I was never in a faith. I wasn't. Oh, out of the
Okay.
faith, you meant Jewish?
Yeah, Jewish.
Look, it's not a faith. It's an ethnic group. It's like
I
a
figure
tribe.
you were practicing, Judaism. or
No,
something.
no,
Okay.
no. I barely got bar mitzvah.
Wow.
I
Okay.
barely got it. I mean, I barely passed.
Look, Philip Wilson, thank you, man. $50 super chat, dude. That's what I'm talking about. I can't thank you enough for all the work you've done.
Okay.
As I said before, when I left Christianity, I was beyond bitter, but you and Dr. Price have helped me heal. I can appreciate the Bible as an atheist far more now. Please continue. We need your voice. Wow, that means a lot. That's a seriously great statement that you just made there, because instead of just becoming like what I've seen a lot of the new atheists do, it's almost like they create an enemy of people of faith, and most of the world are people of faith. And so, like, the patience of people before me, I'm going to say this real quick, Philip, and then I'd love to get you guys to comment and let's have an open conversation. Is when I first, as a believer, heard about mythology, just various comparative religion ideas, like, are there borrowings? I couldn't imagine that the Bible borrowed stuff. I just couldn't. In my mind, the Bible was the peak of the mountain. And there was a man who took his time named Mark. I'll leave his last name unknown until he's ready to come out. He was patient with me. He showed me comparisons with Samson. He showed me, Hercules and other types of people in mythology. And I was just fascinated when I heard it. And I was scared. And I said, Mark, I got to ask you a question though, man. And this matters. Are you an atheist? And I was like, I won't judge you. But in my mind, I was already getting ready as a believer to kind of shut off and not listen to him if he said, yeah, I'm an atheist. And, he said, Derek, I'm not going to lie to you, man. I think honesty is the best policy. And I don't believe that there is a God. I'm open to the existence of a potentially being one, but I don't believe that there is a God at this point. And I said, I appreciate it. Those words, even though I said they wouldn't hurt me with him and our relationship for a few days, I was really scared to talk with him. Like, there was an emotional thing there. And I didn't really want to be what he was. I was afraid that maybe he's trying to lure me in, and you know how all the things of faith start to make you like worry, like, is this the devil? All the different things. But he was patient with me and he showed me love. And next thing you know, I started asking him more questions, like a son asks a father, like, okay, you've already blown my mind now, so tell me more. I want to know more. And he started telling me more, and he was so patient and so kind with me. I honestly think my coming to the position I am today kept me from using drugs and alcohol. I know that sounds like, what's that? How's that relevant? I can go into that at some other point, but being open-minded and not being a dogmatist in my thinking and thinking I had all the answers allowed me to learn for once, really learn, not just learn within my paradigm, but learn as a human being who doesn't have all the answers. All right, enough said. So thank you for that $50 super chat, man. Jacob, you haven't said anything since you've been on, brother.
Oh, I just didn't know when to jump in, but yeah, I came on because I was interested in what was being discussed earlier about modern day claims of being of people claiming to be reincarnations of Cornelius or Jesus, or among other things, because in the because even in the Gospels they talk about John being Elijah, and Josephus was when he talked about the Samaritan prophet, who revolted against Pilate on 36 CE. That person was insinuating that he was the returned Moses. And to prove his claim, he told his followers to go to Mount Gerizim, which is where Pilate intercepted him and had his followers massacred that year.
Wow.
So yeah, there's definitely been things like that even in the first century. The thinking of certain people today is very similar to the obvious Hellenistic reincarnation thinking of the Hellenistic Jews during the first century.
So I want to say welcome, Nemesis Sabio. I think I'm saying that correctly. And if you guys don't know, I'm interviewing a guy who said that he believes he is the second coming of Jesus. He's in Australia, and he is the Jesus of Australia. And I'm interviewing him tomorrow with Dr. Robert McNair Price.
What's up, Derek?
What's up, bro?
This Sabio. I'm from Dagger Squad.
Oh, what's up, man?
Yeah, I'm part of Garfield's team, bro.
Garfield is the man. So
Yes.
he takes critical thinking mainly to the African American community, or if you will, the Black community. And
Yes, sir.
he is all, and he's going headstrong. Like some of these fanatics that are in the like Hebrew Israelite movement, potentially, I'm not speaking for all of them. So if you're somebody who's in this, I'm not laying it on them, but some of them seem dangerous to some.
They're very dangerous because they're misleading they're misleading thousands of people. Some of these people have cult-like followings. They're misleading thousands of people into these belief systems that aren't real. Like they really got these people thinking they're from the Middle East, from the Ottoman Empire and stuff like that. And it's insane.
Wow.
And
Yakub, the scientist who created white people.
Yeah, Jakub. Yes.
I actually
and that's one of the reasons why I started listening to you, because I've seen you've been doing a very good job bringing information to me that I've been bringing it in, and we're really exposing them. That's why I decided to listen to try to jump on the show today.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
I remember you coming over to Dagger Squad a couple weeks ago, and what you did, it was phenomenal.
Thanks, bro. Yeah, I know it's kind of weird, but I know there's people on that side that would obviously be like, we have nothing to listen to this guy about. You know what I mean? What are you doing bringing this white boy on here? You know what I'm saying? And I get it, because I actually live a mile down from the hood where I used to run the streets when I was on drugs. And so I know that lifestyle that's there, but it is a racist type of thing. And
it is.
And that's what we're trying to break down, man. We're trying to break down that stigma. That's why me and Garfield, we talk almost every day. You know, he's messaging me.
Okay. And you know what? This is one of the things that since I've been learning, and I've been learning all my life, knowledge has never had a color to me. Truth has never had a color to me. Information has never been black or white. I can learn from anybody if you're bringing the truth. So,
sorry, I was posting something. You're absolutely right, though. I learned a lot from Garfield trying to find out where the lost sheep of the house of Israel, the lost Israelites were and stuff. Guys, just so you know, I'm posting this link here, and I see someone in the comment section, Dr. Joshua Bowen. He is actually coming on at some point. I don't know if Garfield set a date, but he goes into slavery. He just did a debate, and he mopped the floor. No offense to the Cliff family and Cliff and his son on the debate, but seriously, like he shined in this debate, showing, and man, he was so.
Yeah, I seen that. That was the other day with Matt Dillon, honey. I saw that. Yes, I saw that. They mopped the floor with him. It was so funny.
Oh man, mop the floor. I'm sorry I didn't have names up, guys. Everybody
okay,
now.
don't worry.
Yeah, I didn't know how many people were going to come on and stuff. So
It's all right.
And I think I've heard Jacob speak a couple of times.
I will never forgive you.
Jacob, I think I've heard you speak a couple of times.
Was it on a past video or
Yes,
one?
yes, it was on a past video.
What was it about? I don't. What are you talking? What is it?
I think it was about some confusion in the Bible. It was a while ago. I remember seeing your name. I remember seeing Jacob Burn.
He's talked about a lot of things. Jacob is constantly moving his thinking in different directions, and he's just looking at the different scholarship that's out there, as well as reading the source material and coming up to different conclusions, but always changing as he goes. You know what I mean? Always changing. So that's why I respect you, Jacob. You don't put your feet in concrete and get stuck. You know, you're willing to change as you continue going on and on and on to new ideas. So you, Jacob, you don't put your feet in concrete and get stuck. Somebody, hey, I got look going. Somebody's got an echo. I think it's you, John. You, Jacob. You don't. Or something. I'm hearing
echo.
What's going on there?
Look going. Somebody's got an echo. I think it's you, John. You, Jacob. You don't. Or something. I'm hearing
me.
What's going on there?
The sounds
Mute, Derek, mute people.
Somebody's got an echo. I think it's you, John. You, Jacob.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Is it me? Is it me?
I'm
That's
hearing
not
me.
me.
What's going on there?
That's not me.
Derek, mute people.
John,
Yeah,
it's
John.
yours.
Had to
It's
be.
yours.
That
Yeah.
was
It started
insane.
happening when he joined.
I got to ask Nathan.
There
you
might
have
be a
channel-
connection.
You have a channel, Digital Gnosis, and it's growing. And tell us a little bit about what you're doing, where you're coming from. Like, what are you trying to do with your channel right now? Like,
Yeah,
you're very
it's not-
kind.
It's not as I don't know. It's not got an explicit direction, which I suppose I probably shouldn't say because that might put people off going and like looking at something. But I think I've got a few interviews planned with philosophers on various topics. So I'm talking to a guy, I think he's the head of the humanities department actually at Nottingham University, about what metaphysics is, explanations and stuff like that. Then I'm talking to Julian Baggini, who's quite a famous atheist philosopher, he's just written a book called Godless Gospels. So trying to look at the ethics of Jesus's teachings, but cutting out all of the theological stuff that authors might have put on top and just saying, like, if we just assess what maybe the historical Jesus had to say ethically, what might that be? And is that actually good? And that's quite an interesting book that I've been reading as well at the same time. And then I just have some kind of open conversations similar to this. I like talking to people who I disagree with and doing a series called Bad Apologetics with a guy called James Fodor. We're going to do bad counter apologetics as well. So I guess what we're doing is looking at where people will sort of want to use more like rhetoric and polemic rather than actually like engaging with the ideas, displaying like intellectual virtues, being charitable to the other side to try and form more and more true beliefs. So that's what's going on over there.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, you're doing a lot of stuff over there. And I see you've engaged quite a bit of Christians, being very kind, having long conversations with them. And that shows your patience. And let me do something here. I'm going to take this brand off so it's not right there above your head. There you go.
It's okay.
But yeah, I definitely ask everybody who's watching this, definitely go check out Nathan's channel, Digital Gnosis. And every time you launch on my phone, I get notified, but I can't tell if it's you or Digital Hammurabi.
So I'm like, digital. You just got.
I'm like, digital who? So you and Dr. Josh get, I'm like, okay, which one is it? Which one is it? Yeah. Oh, here I am taking my Facebook popping on.
You know, I always thought that Hammurabi is a funny name because Hamor in Hebrew means donkey and Rabbi means rabbi. So I thought it's a rabbi of a donkey.
A donkey rabbi, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Someone's
By the way, the funny thing is that donkeys and asses were considered very noble animals in the ancient world. I mean, what's the difference between a donkey and a horse? Not much.
Okay, so I'm not sure whose mic it is. Is it your mic? Okay, I think you're unmuted. Is it Gigi?
I think
He's muted.
so.
He can't answer you.
That little noise stopped when he muted.
Is it mine?
No. You're good. And just in case y'all wondered, you can join us. I'm putting the link here. We got a little bit longer, and then I'm going to be recording with John F. White on mythology stuff. So I don't know where he's taking me today, but I'm excited. He was trying to join, but I kept getting reverb. So anyway, what's up for 2021, guys? You guys want to reach out to some people and make the connection there? Because I'm trying to email as many people as possible that I think have some good credential that can be informative on topics. But if you have some ideas on having some guests on, let me know.
I know a guy who's an expert on comparative mythology, and he published some books. He might want to talk to you. Actually, I know two guys, but still.
Get them up. You know how to get a hold of me, bro. We're private messaging on Facebook and stuff, and let me know what they say. Also, just so everyone know, you're one of the moderators in the Discord. So you guys,
I am?
Yes, actually, I got
Kidding.
three moderators here right now: Jacob, Nathan, and you. I'm not even going to try and pronounce your name, bro. I'm going to butcher it. So I'm just.
You can call me Leo. Everyone who can't say my name calls me Leo.
Leo? Okay,
Yeah.
cool, man.
Now you start understanding why all the Jews in the ancient, in the 4th century had Hebrew names and Greek names. Because nobody can pronounce them.
So
Really,
what is your story, Leo? Where are you coming from? Like, you were born in a family that was not religious?
No, not at all.
Okay. What's your interest in this?
My interest is comparative mythology and history. I'm trying to produce a. Okay, so you know what's Dungeons and Dragons?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm really, really interested in that type of stuff in fantasy and the fantasy genre, and I'm doing as much research as I can.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, also I have a YouTube channel where I mainly make jokes while trying to cover intellectual topics.
Well, Jews are really good about that. I have to admit.
We have a good sense of humor.
That is not a lie, for real. Philip, thank you so much for the $20 super chat, bro. Also get Joe Rogan on here one of these days. Man, I would love.
Nah.
That would be fantastic. It would be fantastic, though. I mean, I would love to, because he talks about some interesting theories. I like entertaining the Stoned Ape Theory, for example. Don't know how accurate it is.
The Stoned Ape?
The Stoned Ape Theory. Yeah, and I'm just giving you a very horrible short example of this, but they say 5 million years ago, we were in the canopy of trees and we were running out of food source. It wasn't something that we didn't have as access to the amount of food that we once did for whatever reason. So we went down to the ground. This is their explanation. We started finding a new food source on the ground. And, in our primitive state, whatever we looked like at that time, we're flipping over cow patties and picking up the mushrooms that were growing under cow patties and microdosing over who knows how many thousands, tens of thousands, potentially hundreds of thousands of years, microdosing, taking, psilocybin, you name it, various forms of something that might have dimethyltryptamine in it, causing the neurons in the brain to, if you will, think outside of the box within the paradigm of whatever the species is at the time, which caused us to advance and become, I guess, what led us in the direction we are today. So diet played a huge role in evolving us to where we are today. But yeah, it's the Stoned Ape Theory. I know Terrence.
No apes were stoned in the making of this theory. I mean, stoning apes with stones, throwing stones on them.
No. I actually thought he was. Nah. It's just that's a theory I haven't heard of until today. It's an interesting theory. It's a theory, like a lot of things are.
Not buying it.
No, I'm not buying it either, bro.
No, I'm telling you. I mean, it suggests a cataclysm and evolution happening because of the cataclysm. Why complicate things? Why not just say that the adaptation happened because of a cataclysm itself? Why add in mushrooms in it?
I think after experiencing psychedelics myself and knowing that I would never be able to think, like, there's no humanly natural way I could ever think the way that I thought when I ingested those substances, that would make me think, okay, kind of like if you look at Steve Jobs and he talks about the development of Apple. In his biography, he mentions acid. He talks about how acid played a huge role in how he was thinking outside of the box and was able to develop the technology that he did. I just say that to say I could see us thinking outside the box by ingesting something natural like that.
Yeah, that's fair. But a lot of people do have very original and creative ideas without getting stoned or using substances. So maybe, but it doesn't. So that's a baby. That's a maybe baby, so to speak.
That's true, maybe. And I don't put concrete in it, but I entertain it. I think it's an interesting. Okay. Brother John, thank you for the $2 super chat. Best evidence for Moses outside of the Torah. This would be a good question.
I think I heard Gary Greenberg speak about the origins of some henchmen, not henchmen, a higher up in the court of Akhenaten that was very similar to Moses. I heard it from an individual named Gary Greenberg who explores the origins of the Old Testament.
Dude, we got a party going on now.
I've heard that it may be his brother Tutmos.
His brother.
Could
Yo, I got an expert on Egypt in the chat. Might want to join.
There's a guy in Israel, Dr. Israel Knoll.
No.
But he's a religious guy. But
look, we got a PhD in the video here. Let's ask Dr. Josh. Can you hear me, Dr. Josh?
Yeah, the connection's a little weird, but I can hear you. I'm grabbing a cup of coffee, taking a quick break from work, so I figured out.
I'm so glad I heard.
Yo, is this the Josh that beat up them Christians the other day on Atheist Experience? I enjoyed it, Josh. I really enjoyed
on my
thumping.
debate.
Yes, I enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Hey, let me try to reconnect because I can barely.
Your
hear
connection
you
is
guys.
actually
Hang on.
okay. Okay.
He's going to jump back in. I want to get him to answer that question, you guys. Best evidence for Moses outside of the Torah. I don't even know if he believes Moses existed.
That's great. I know he didn't exist.
I'll come back to you, Brother John, to get.
I mean, it's kind of like the question of the historicity of Jesus. It comes down to that type of thing again.
I think
so we really run into the same issues.
Wouldn't more people argue, though, that in terms of comparing the historicity of Moses and the historicity of Jesus, it's more likely Jesus has a better argument for his existence than what we have for Moses? Not saying he did exist, but that there's a better argument to be made for him because we just don't have the sources. We don't really have much for Moses.
Yeah, that's true. But the sources we do have are better quality overall, where the sources for Jesus are all over the place in terms of quality and what they claim to say. So, it's a question of quantity versus quality when it comes to this, in my opinion.
What criterion of quality? Like what do people take into account when they compare these sorts of things?
You'd have to ask. That's a good question.
Well, there are
one would be the amount of contradictions in and between texts. That would be the first one because we know for 1,000,000% that contradictions can't exist.
So I think
that's on the negative, but on the positive, I would say that. Oh, excuse me, I cut you off.
Oh, that's cool. Go.
On the positive, we would say if various sources agree on some type of detail, then it's beyond what can be a coincidence. Then you're onto something because 5 people lying in the exact same way is very unlikely. It's very difficult, even for 5 criminals to make a story stick for too long.
I agree with that.
I think James could use his forensics training to good use on this.
One of the angles that I look for, and I'm looking for evidence, or that people look for, is corroborating stories.
Yeah, that's what I said.
So if there's not anything corroborating, we really have to let it go. And there's not really too much backing up anything outside of the Bible for Moses.
Well, I mean, you could make the same for Achilles. There's nothing outside of Homer. Well, not Achilles. There's nothing outside of Homer backing up some of the characters in the Iliad, but they still go around and and Sleeman can find and say he gazed upon the face of Agamemnon, which wasn't obviously true, but you have to consider it possible.
Jacob, what do you think about this question of historicity
of Moses?
Yep, but comparing the historicity of Moses, if you will, to Jesus, and why is it that consensus scholarship 30 years ago said, yeah, well, Moses probably existed, and now it has become consensus that he didn't? And then if you don't mind, after you get done, I got Dr. Josh popping in here. This would be a good question to ask him.
So there's an attempt later by those like Josephus in his Against Apion. He makes an attempt to make the Exodus appear to be historical because he claims that the Hyksos invaders of Egypt are actually the Israelites themselves. and he seems to identify Moses as or at least hints that Moses was a pharaoh of the Hyksos. So this would kind of put the Exodus in the 16th century BCE, a bit earlier in time, if such a thing were true. But I believe Josephus engaged in obvious apologetics, trying to make the story historical, because nobody before Josephus, in fact, not really much after him, even agreed with that idea that the Hyksos were the Israelites. I do think that the story of the Exodus is based upon, it's like a fictionalization of the Hyksos story, because it is similar, but that doesn't make Moses a historical figure. And I do agree that Jesus has better quality than Moses, in terms of which one's more, which one versus which one is more likely to have existed in the other.
Dr. Josh, Digital Hammurabi, if you guys aren't subscribed, you already know what to do. If you don't, I will hex you. So, Dr. Josh, welcome, man. Moses, did he exist? And if he didn't, like some people are asking the question, we had a super chat asking, what's the best extra biblical historical evidence for the existence of Moses?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that we have any. So the question of Moses in the Exodus is sort of a perennial one that everybody wants to write and say something about, and certainly it's not my field of my area of specialization. But there's a chapter in the book that's coming out that I deal with it at least a little bit. So yeah, I mean, the problem I think with the Exodus is if you're going by like the biblical chronology, it's incredibly problematic. So as Jacob was talking about, it's if you try to go by things like the Hyksos period, or if you're using Josephus, or if you're trying to look at when Solomon ruled and then try to backtrack from there to get to the Exodus, you end up something like 16th, 15th, late 15th century, and we just know archaeologically speaking that it's untenable, right? So if you go to some of the major sites, really the only one archaeologically that looks like it could work for an Exodus and conquest account would be Hatzor, but I think it's William Beaver. This is 1 out of 38 isn't very good. One site out of 38 that seems to work archaeologically, and that's not very promising.
Yeah, but would it sustain a 3 million person exile? Because, and I actually had someone who was challenging my good friend Stephen Nelson. I think they're practicing Orthodox Jew, of course. And they said, I'm sorry. I think they equated not the Mishnah. I can't remember the writings. It's not the Mishnah. But they were acting like, huh?
Let me help you out here. What was it?
Pretty much it said that where the Bible says 600,000 men were going through this exile, the Mishnah or some other Jewish literature was saying, well, there was like 5 children per family, and it wasn't counting the women. It was well over 3 million people. And when you go to the archaeology we have of today, the empire of Egypt was barely hitting 2.5, 3 million people as the entire population of Egypt. So how do you have over 3 million people going through the exile?
That's impossible.
Exactly. I just figured I'd add some criticism.
Well, yeah, I mean, go ahead. Sorry.
Me? Oh no, I thought. I was gonna ask. Do you know who are the Brahmins of India? Well, the Brahmins of India are actually. Yeah, the Brahmins. The Brahmins are actually pretty similar to Jews. I mean, I don't mean like stereotypes of them being doctors and being very funny. I mean, they actually developed as a priestly class within their socio-religious system. They seem to have more similarities with Jews than that I'm discovering. One interesting avenue for discovery on the origins of the ancient Israelites is to study the formation of the Brahmin caste, and then see how it compares to the Kohenic Levitic caste, which are essentially the same thing. I mean, do you know what Kohen means in Hebrew?
Did you say Kohen?
Kohen. What Kohen means in Hebrew?
The Cohen gene.
Well, I don't know if there was a gene for it, but I didn't know.
Well, that's something that they were arguing. So I do know what the Cohen is supposed to be, the priestly class of
it means priest. It means
Yeah.
priest, but more properly, it means hierophant.
So, and this is something that I was talking about to the so-called Black Hebrew Israelites, that if you're going to say that you're from the tribe of Jacob, you have to have the Cohen gene. You have to be from the priestly class. And they're not.
I want to say
Their DNA doesn't match up.
real quick, intermediary fossil. Thank you for the $10 super chat, my friend. I appreciate it, and thank you for taking a picture of my great grandfather as your emoji picture here. I really do appreciate
That's
it.
actually a great cousin.
Thank you so much, my friend.
That's
All right, and
actually
we
your
got
cousin.
a $5 super chat, $4.99 for awesome shows and content. Thank you, Jerry Penn. I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Oh, we got more people in the. Hold on here. No echo?
Hopefully not. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Echo. Yes.
Awesome, man. We got a full party here. Dr. Josh, I have to ask you, man, how can you sleep at night after slaughtering those poor guys the other night on slavery, man? I mean, that in the Bible.
Well, that's very generous of you. No, that was a good conversation. I feel like one of the things that sort of maybe got missed, that I tried to call attention to in this, is that so much of the justification for looking at the biblical text and saying enslaving, for example, the foreigners was the most humane thing to do, was looking at something like the wickedness of the Canaanites, right, and looking at the child sacrifice that they were performing, and yet then turning around and saying, well, how do we know? We scholars don't think that the legal sections of the Pentateuch were actually prescriptive, right? They weren't normative legislation. And the problem, of course, that I tried to point out is talking out of both sides of your mouth, right? I mean, you can't come at one point for your argument with a historical critical approach to the text and say, well, what were these? What is Exodus 21 or what is Leviticus 25 actually doing? And taking it out of the narrative, but then in order to justify your position, to step back into the narrative and what the text is trying to let you, trying to lead you to believe about what was going on, and say, well, the Canaanites are really wicked. Because if you do that consistently, you're going to have to say, well, okay, we know who the Canaanites were, right? We have a fair amount of information about them historically, and the evidence, for example, for child sacrifice is all first millennium evidence. It's pretty late, and it doesn't come from Israel, right? It doesn't really even come from the Phoenician coast. It comes from Carthage, and so.
Well, excuse me, I just want to interject. I know I heard of the evidence, but the evidence they found is a place where there were a lot of bodies of babies. Now, that could mean child sacrifice, or it could mean just a cemetery devoted for babies. It doesn't imply sacrifice necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, in Carthage, and again, this isn't my field of expertise. Child sacrifice, you probably want to read through Heath Durrell's book or Francesca Stavrakopoulou, but Punic evidence is pretty strong, is pretty convincing. There are inscriptions above them, but yeah, you're absolutely right. Like in Phoenicia proper, you have some areas that are sort of looked at as around Tyre maybe, and a little bit south, over in Syria, but none of those are, I think, really as convincing that they're nothing more than burials. But I think that sort of makes the point. That to go with the narrative of the Hebrew Bible, and to say, well, the reason that the Israelites had come in justifiably and do all these things is because they were so unbelievably wicked, is that's one way to interpret the text. But then to turn around and to leave that and to try to embrace a historical sort of approach and say, well, we don't we don't think that God actually gave these laws when the text is very clear that that's what the narrative is trying to tell you, I think is problematic, to say the least.
It's very problematic. And what was problematic to me was when his father tried to use Matthew to justify it.
Yeah.
That doesn't even add up. I used to thump the Bible a lot. I used to be a big Bible thumper. I used to be a big apologist. And when he did that, I was like, whoa, that's stretching. Like, you jumping.
Yeah.
Add up. How can you take Matthew 19 and try to justify that with slavery?
Your audio's coming in and out, brother. Your audio's coming in and out. Real quick, Farside, thank you for the super sticker. I don't know what SEK stands for, but I appreciate you sending that. And Dragons in Genesis is right. Every dollar you donate helps patch the holes in the firmament and prevents another flood. So if you guys don't want to see a cataclysm happen, like, this is the place to go. I am the prophet. I'm actually the Lambert of God. The last name's Lambert. And I didn't choose that. It chose me. So in case you were wondering, but yeah, your audio was coming in and out, Sabia. I hope I'm saying
is it better?
It's better now, brother. Sorry to interrupt you guys. And one more real quick. Cool. Someone wants to see you debate Batman, recreating Adam. Thank you for the €3.
What?
Batman is a guy. Mr. Batman is a guy, I think. Is he Dr.
Oh,
Josh?
yeah.
I spoke to him just 2 days ago.
Why?
In Australia, there is a place called Batman Park, so it's a real name. It's not a joke.
He's a presuppor. If you, for those who don't know him, kind of like Darth Dawkins.
If anyone would want to see me talk to him, I think there'd be a lot of silence and me going, I don't know why you're asking me that.
Well, especially after he muted you, there'd be a lot of silence, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Is he like a staunch Christian or?
Yeah, like very, very American evangelical style of Christianity type. Yeah,
like younger creationist.
Yeah.
Thank you for that super chat, my brother. Yeah, I just want to say something about that debate that I watched. Well, really, it was a child sacrifice, really, the other night of Dr. Josh and these guys. One thing they kept doing is realizing there was so much overwhelming evidence that you were bringing to the table. They had to agree with you that, there's slavery. Yeah, it didn't look good, but didn't mean God was okay with it. Yeah. But he was using it. And it's like, dude, it just blew me away, because what that does is it shows how human this whole thing really is. I mean, when you look at the biblical narrative and you see the laws and all that, and then you look at Hammurabi Code, which is the name of your YouTube, Digital Hammurabi, and then you got Digital Gnosis. So, which I was just talking about how I get confused when one of you guys launch. I'm like, digital, which one? Which digital?
The correct one.
Thanks, Josh. Admitting it live on air.
Oh, shots fired.
I don't know what to say, man. I just thought it was so funny the other night, and it was really well done.
I will say that the Matthew 19 angle is very clever, right? I think it's a very clever approach, and I don't think that it's correct, but I think it's very clever to try to draw some like broad hermeneutical principle on. Well, look, here's something in the law, and Jesus is saying this wasn't the ideal, and I think again it's very clever. The problem I think that you see, and I have a new slavery chapter in this book, and I venture into the New Testament a little bit to try to deal with this. But I think the problem that we see is that if you have the expectation that God is progressively bringing his people along to sort of work them out of this idea of slavery as an acceptable means of economic support or whatever, that you would expect to see some very firm statements about it in the New Testament. And the problem is that you do see statements about it. Unfortunately, from that position, they're very much assuming it to continue. And I think while it's it's a nice idea to be able to say, well, if he said it about divorce, he must have meant it about these other things. This is the reason that I asked him, can you specifically tie it to slavery? Because if you can't, I think you have to then look at what the rest of the New Testament says about it and how the early church tried to deal with slavery. And of course, they didn't see the New Testament as taking a stance against it at all. So I think that's problematic, but very clever.
It is. And then the weird statements. I mean, I know that it's not talking about the institutionalized slavery that was going on, but becoming a slave of Christ. You know, like, why do you have to, in the Greek, in the vernacular, like that, it literally isn't saying, just a follower. No, it's like literally saying I'm a slave of Christ. The term is like used in a complimentary sense, so to speak. So I'm with you. And the New Testament didn't say, no more slavery. It talks about sin, and it's almost in this different sense, like you're a slave to the law, or the slave to sin, and whom the Son sets free is free indeed. But never in any practical economic sense is it ever saying don't own another human anymore. It's literally telling you you're no longer being owned by it depends on if you're looking at Paul, it depends on what you're looking at, but Paul seems to be talking about the ruler of this air. Everyone is a slave to this demonic realm, this, the prince of the air. And now you can become a slave of Jesus. It's like, why do you keep using the language?
Just trade another master. It's that simple. Straight up.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, no matter how they tried to, get around it, they couldn't. And it's throughout the Bible. And, that was one thing that when I was a believer, I didn't even justify. I didn't even talk about. Why? Because this is the way, and if I did justify it, this is the way I justified it. That's dead. The old law was dead. We're living in a new law, which is Jesus Christ.
Okay. Yeah, that's why you can eat bacon.
That's a good point. Me and Dr. Josh and Nathan were once Christians, and Jacob, I think you might have been, but I know for a fact that that's how we lived, man. We lived the same way, but I can't imagine what your education in the field that you're in, Dr. Josh, finding out about the digital Hammurabi Code. We might as well start changing the name of the Hammurabi Code to digital. Because we're ancient alien supporters. No, I'm just kidding. With the Hammurabi Code, right? How did that affect you, man? When you started finding out, hold on, these laws existed prior to the Hebrew Bible as a Christian. See, you were finding out things that I'm sure you couldn't swallow while you were a Christian, becoming an expert in the field. When was it that said, all right, I'm sorry, that was the last straw on the camel's back?
Yeah. I mean, I think it was the problem for me. So I have very good evangelical friends. Right? That I always talk about one in particular, my friend Caleb, who, is at a Tyndale now. And he came through Hopkins, got his PhD in Assyriology. So, we're very, very similar. And he maintains his evangelical faith. And I think the difference is that he went to a seminary that was not a fundamentalist seminary. And so he was able to sort of, in a more gradual and protected, if I can use those terms, sense, be exposed more and more to, these issues that when I was exposed to them, having essentially written them off as problematic by my fundamentalist education that was really more focused on linguistics. When I came to Hopkins, it was like, whoa, you're reading through Sumerian and Akkadian literature and then learning about all these problematic aspects of, the historical and archaeological problems in the biblical text. That for me was just, that was the Philistines, I think, were the straw that broke the camel's back. Actually had to write a paper on Philistines and Mycenaean 3C, what is it, 3C, 1B or whatever, pottery, and looking at how the Philistines came into the land of Canaan, and then trying to match it up with Genesis. It was like, okay, well, none of this works.
Right.
So,
You should write a book, literally, the straw that broke the camel's back, the Philistines. I mean, that would be a cool title.
Hey, that'd be a cool title. It really.
No, the title should be
Nathan,
the
what happened to you,
Philistine
man?
that broke the camel's
Dude,
back.
you got to. First of all, this is is this is this the fabricated digital gnosis? You need to speak for yourself, Nathan. Defend yourself, man. You got to fight back, bro.
So in I don't know, a few years back, I named my Xbox Live gamer tag, I think, might have been Digital Gnosis at one point on 360. So Dr. Josh has obviously copied me and going for Digital Hammurabi, and
Obviously, yes.
I don't know. Dr. Josh has got videos that go back 5 years.
yeah, he definitely had he did have his YouTube channel called Digital Hammurabi before I changed mine. Mine was I just used my personal Google account, and then I was like, do I want it to just be my name? So I've got to change it to something. So I went with that, which my WordPress blog had been called, and my Xbox Live gamer tag and stuff. I think
it's just the great minds think alike. That's all.
Yeah, that's probably.
I'll go with that. What did it in for you, Nathan? I remember you were a Christian not too long ago, and I don't mean that as in yesterday, but within the past year or something. You finally said, "All right, I'm sorry." Was there something or a few things you could say that did it in for you?
Yeah, definitely. A combination of things. I mean, a lot of the issues were sorry, Gigi, I think you're kind of crackling again. A few issues, cognitive dissonance wise, obviously all the time I'm there. Social dynamics, for example, in a normal, say, sorry, Gigi, it's quite it's quite bad, that crackling. If you could mute yourself.
Yeah, I don't know how to just mute it. Yeah, there you go. Sorry.
It's all right. So yeah, if you are at work, if you imagine yourself at work or something, and I don't know, someone asked you to do something, and you were like, well, actually, I don't think you should, take 3 hours of my time or talk to me in this way for this thing, or you don't have the right to be that way. But those sorts of things were happening in the social dynamic at church, and I'd be like, well, I know the bite cult model in my head, and then I'm like, is that what's going on here? Or if I've got a question or something, and it's well, just stop, think about it. I'm like, is this a stop thought technique of thinking about this is spiritual warfare or the devil or something? So there were always these underlying concerns, and the answers were never quite sufficient, I guess. But I kind of got into apologetics, and through that avenue I ended up, I guess, getting Pine Creek recommended to me through the YouTube algorithm. Ended up in one of his videos where he lets Christians and Jews, Muslims, whatever, come in and talk to him in his shows occasionally. And so I came in and had a conversation with him, and basically he drew out the inconsistency in my epistemology. So he's not particularly combative, though. Right. when you're in that Christian worldview, anyone who disagrees with you, like you were saying before, when you were oh, be honest with me, are you an atheist? And you were just going to switch off. It's kind of like I was, I viewed it literally as spiritual warfare. I was I'm representing Jesus now on the internet in this conversation, in front of an atheist, and Satan's behind this guy, and he says that openly because he knows it touches that psychological button, and. So yeah, this conversation with Doug, he just kind of so he's asking questions for example, if he was drowning on a ship and about to die, what would I say to him to convince him? And I guess that's to draw out why is it true, or why and I guess or he likes to get people to say, yeah, it kind of boils down to carrots and sticks, avoiding hell, and that's motivating the reasoning. And funnily enough,
I never got, by the way. That's something I never got. Why is a good afterlife and a bad afterlife worth any more than each other?
Well, I think
because think of it. Yeah. No,
I think hell's so scary that I mean,
look. I know what you're thinking, but I'm gonna explain it real quick. Sure. You don't need to be afraid in hell because you can't die. In fact, you don't need to
Well-
care about pain. And the flip side of
It's
it, you
not
don't need to
even-
care about
I
life.
don't think I can
About
choose
pleasure.
to care about pain or not, though. Like, I don't
Yeah,
think
you
I can, like,
yeah, you could. Yeah, you could. You become people actually do become disincentivized to pain. It's a thing if they get sick. It's very sad, but wouldn't you think you'd become unaware of it, or you'd just become used to it? Like, well,
I
it
think-
hurts, but why give a damn?
I think in our current kind of like laws of biology, right, and laws of physics and stuff, we think that way, and like the body's gonna those neural pathways are gonna become desensitized over time or whatever. We're gonna switch it off. But the problem is, in certain Christian depictions of the afterlife, you know, like they'll have like God refreshing your neural pathways or just directly causing pain to the soul or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
but
you can just
know
make up
you're
whatever
not
you
gonna
want.
die. You know you're not gonna die. I mean, why care? It's
Well, I
not
think
worth anything.
they're playing on.
I mean,
Leo, they're playing what they, and this is me from my own mindset. What I would do, we would constantly improvise. If there was something new that tried to say, "Well, you won't feel pain after a certain while," oh, BS, you won't feel pain.
Right.
We'll make
No,
sure you
okay,
know how to
let's
feel
say
pain.
you
through-
do feel-
you know, like
let's-
we always
let's
made
say you
hell
do feel
worse
pain.
and worse and worse.
Right.
But
you know, let's say you do feel
you
pain.
know-
Why does it matter? It's you
Well,
know,
because
and the
it's
flip side
really
of it.
painful.
Because
No,
you don't
let-
want to feel pain.
Yeah, okay, let's go to
We got
the
too many
opposite
people
of it.
talking.
You live in heaven. You get to heaven. Wow, it feels so good. Why would you care? Why would you
Because
care?
I
when it
like
feels
I
good?
like good things.
Yeah,
So-
you like
so,
good
right,
things,
right,
but you want to
like
do
feeling
things.
Point. But it's also kind of painful because when you think about heaven, what does it say you're going to be doing all day? Worshiping, singing hallelujah.
Yeah,
and
that sounds
all
even worse
that.
than hell, by the way.
That's worse than hell. Shit.
That sounds worse than hell to me.
Singing, worshiping all day.
Well, I'm not saying it works, but I'm saying like, you know, it's scary enough to be motivating for a
I
lot
know.
of people.
You know,
Well,
I really don't agree because
let me
you know,
ask. Let me ask our friend John here, real quick. John, what happens after you die in the Nordic or in the mythologies that you're into? Because the Abrahamic ones, well, at least we'll say New Testament, let's say the development later on that probably came from Zoroastrianism and the Greeks, have a post-mortem eternal damnation or eternal blissfulness in the heavenly places. What happens to the body and the soul, whatever, you know, is there anything after death?
Well, it depends on the religion we talk about. If we talk about the Norse religion, Nordics, they didn't have a soul, just had a body. And
Whoa, hold on.
What about Valhalla?
That's interesting. That's what I was going to ask about Valhalla.
Oh, he'll get into that.
Valhalla!
1 second. So Valhalla, you only go to if you die in battle, and only then you get a 50% chance.
What?
So 50% of people will go to hell, 50% go to Valhalla, and hell
Wait,
is
what?
where a person called Hel lives, who's the daughter of Loki.
This is a Sid deal.
Was there any logic to that? Like, is it like
Oh,
Odin's
yeah.
decision or something, or like is it just arbitrary 50%? I think your mic's cut out. Sorry.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Odin is trying to gather a battle to fight at the end of Ragnarok, which is the end of the world. And to fight that battle, he needs soldiers. So what Odin actually did was go to the battlefield and make the good soldiers die at times. So he got a chance of getting the good soldiers into Valhalla.
I see.
And the bad soldiers go and live it, which is a way of saying, oh, he died in battle. He wasn't a loser. He was a winner, obviously, because he went to Valhalla. Yeah, there's probably some psychology around that. So, yeah, that's what Odin was trying to do, to create an army to battle Valhalla. But then you have to ask, he only did that when he got the knowledge about Ragnarok, and he only did that when he cut his eye out. So before that point, it wasn't a Valhalla.
Yeah. It's like the Euthyphro dilemma for Odin sort of thing. It's like
Let me mention one thing I think was interesting. Dr. Dennis R. McDonald, I just interviewed with him yesterday, and we were talking about his Q plus Papias hypothesis that there was a lost gospel of Q before the gospel of Mark, and that all of these gospels, the synoptics, are borrowing from Q. It's a hypothetical position. However, when I got done with the episode, I have to admit, like, I'm not as against Q as I once maybe was in terms of being like, no, Mark Goodacre answers all the problems and stuff. But that's not the point I was going to bring up. He brought up something interesting in the show you're going to want to see. He talks about Lazarus, and he mentions in the story where Lazarus in Luke goes down in this parable to this place in Abraham's bosom, and the rich man is constantly asking, Abraham, can you just touch your finger and put the water on my tongue? I just need just something. The suffering and the thirst is unbelievable. I didn't know there was a parallel to the Greek myths about this, but Dr. Dennis R. MacDonald showed that the gospel author is actually ripping off, if you will, to some degree of his creativity. Maybe that gives it derogatory terms. The author is being creative using the Greek epic, and I can't remember the name of the man, but his head is like right where the water is, like right at his lip, and he's thirsty but can never get it into his mouth. And it's like this eternal agony of desiring the water that's right there the whole time to never go into his mouth. So it was just, the parallels were so interesting. It made me want to go read more of his works, because he really deciphers how these authors were creative. These weren't like authentic, off the top of their head ideas that they had just spontaneously came up with. They were using brilliant older mythologies in developing a lot of these things. And he's the only guy I know of who's made the mimetic connections between the New Testament and the Greeks' stories genetically on the level that he does, which is why I have a lot of respect for Dr. MacDonald. He's actually an outcast in the guild of the consensus scholarship, because he fights this position where everyone else goes, well, in the Greco-Roman world, the Jews that were Hellenistic, they knew about Homer. They had an idea about these people, Achilles and stuff. But that's only, if you see fragments of it in the Gospels, it's because they knew about it, that not because they're genetically using the material. And he argues that they do. Sorry for rambling, guys, but I thought that was interesting.
You know what Achilles says about the afterlife in the Odyssey? No, Achilles.
Nope.
Okay, so in the Odyssey, Odysseus meets Achilles after Achilles has died in Troy, and Odysseus asks him, "Hey, Achilles, you live in the afterworld. Well, what's it like?" And he says, "Look, man, I'd rather be a slave of a poor man on earth than the king of all hell. It doesn't matter a difference anything there." Meaning. You're not dead.
Yeah,
Maybe you're not dead in the afterlife, but you're sure as hell not alive.
Mm.
That was the Greeks, or the classical Greek view, or Homeric Greek view of the afterlife. It doesn't matter. Don't bother about it.
Christians are definitely different on that, though.
No, yeah, they're different, but it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, though, if you look at the worldview of it.
I totally agree. Now. But when I was in that belief system, I would be on here trying to convert y'all.
I know that's true. I wouldn't even have this show if I was still a Christian, honestly. I'd be like probably hanging out with what's his name? Christian apologist.
Cameron Bertuzzi.
I'd probably hook up with him if I could even, if I could unlatch the buckles off of his sandals, it would be interesting to be able to join him on his show. Or what is the Christian he's critical in his thinking. He debated
inspiring philosophy.
Inspiring philosophy, yeah. What do you think? I have a hunch, man. I feel like if it weren't possibly for the revenue that he probably produces through what he does, I feel like he's going to be borderline like he almost sounds C.S. Lewis like, it's a mythology, but it's the true mythology. He borderlines realizing the comparative mythology, that there's some validity to Christianity looking like the other myths. What do you think?
I personally, I mean, like I know Michael, and he's been I don't know him personally. I know Michael's been pretty open though about his struggling with depression and personal issues like that. So I think for him, his belief is quite important for those things. And my personal non-professional psychological opinion is that that's what then pushes him to do a lot of the work and rationalization that I see him doing, because he kind of needs to make this thing work for dealing with like the existential kind of lack of meaning and stuff like that, which I completely get that, if that's what's going on. But yeah,
I had the reverse happen to me. My realizing what these were and knowing I didn't have, because when you're a Christian, there's a comfort. You would agree with me. There's a comfort in knowing. even if like looking back, we know we didn't really know a damn thing. But psychologically, we did know in our minds, and we had the answer. There was this like invisible foundation in which we rested upon. We didn't need to know all those. No. We had our faith. We know we're right.
That was it.
That was it. And so there's a psychological thing, but I kept moving denominationally because I kept finding out evidence that was contrary to the denomination I was in. And I was like, okay, let me go to this denomination. I became a Calvinist because I saw all the predestinarian stuff, and on and on and on. I shifted my views till I got to eschatology, became a full preterist because Jesus said he was coming back. That meant he had to have come back when he said he was going to come back, which is within that time frame, at least sometime, right? All Orthodox Christianity was wrong. I had to come to a conclusion to believe, and I ended up becoming a full preterist before I ended up leaving. Well, my letting go of being right, because I kept relapsing. I had drug problems, alcohol problems, while trying to remain a Christian. How did I do these things? And I got the Holy Ghost, baby. I got the Holy Ghost. How can the Most High, his son, a child of God, ever do those things? And so I started wondering, am I his child? Am I his son? Does his spirit live within me? So I ended up researching and going, man, what if I'm wrong? Like, no matter how hard I try and ask, what if I'm wrong? And I listened to the guys I would never have listened to. I went back to the debates that Ravi Zacharias and William Lane Craig and all these people that I admired, and they couldn't say anything wrong. They were the gospel, and listened to the other side to really hear what they said and went, oh, shit. I don't know how I didn't see that when I was listening to it before, but cognitive dissonance is powerful, man.
Yo, and it really is. And what you just said, it explains my journey perfectly, because I would go to church, and then I would have questions, and I would ask questions, and they wouldn't answer them correctly or give me the answer that I thought was sufficient to the question that I asked. Like, you just telling me to go back to the book. Huh? I just read it. Like, this isn't helping me draw the answer that I need. You know what? I'm going to go to outside sources. The more I read these outside sources, like the instructions of Tahotep, the dead, the Egyptian Book of the Dead, or the Book of Coming Forth by Day, the resurrection, it's Osiris and the Egyptian resurrection, all these different manuscripts. It was like they've been playing me this whole time. I've been following something that was created with an agenda for a specific person for a specific reason, and I didn't know. Damn it, time to let it go.
Yeah.
This is a good statement. What if I'm wrong is like one of the most important things to ask yourself now and then.
I think, how could you find out if you're wrong? Like, this is... Oh,
so I mean, how can you find out if you're wrong? It's the easiest thing to do. It just doesn't work. Oops.
Well, no, I don't think it is. I think it's really, really difficult, like, for us to find out.
It is.
Did you ever play chess, Nathan?
Because we don't want to know.
Yeah.
You play chess, you do a move, you're like, yeah, this is the winning move, and you lose. It's not a winning move if you lose.
But I suppose that step of verification for Christianity is dying, right? So you'd have to die or get to the end times and go, oh yeah, eschatological verification or whatever, because Jesus came back.
Okay, can you just explain what is eschatology?
The study of
end time prophecy.
Yeah.
That's the only way to falsify Christianity.
It has nothing to do with scat. It doesn't have anything to do with scat. Okay. Okay, good. I don't know. I don't know the thing. I have not.
Thank you for that super chat there, Arjun. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Yeah, that's one of my things, guys, that I was into was eschatology because, well, I had dreams that the rapture was coming years before I became a Calvinist, Reformed, and all that. When I was a fundamentalist Christian, I really thought, it was going to happen in my lifetime. And I won't go into all the examples of the house church that we were in a prophecy. We spoke in tongues. The whole damn 9 yards.
Hey, why did you insult my mother in Hebrew?
Hey, I didn't mean to do that. That was the Holy Ghost. So,
oh shit!
No, you didn't. You didn't. That was made up.
Okay. No, I have the gift of tongues, just in case you guys are wondering. So anyway,
Wow. So what do y'all be saying when y'all speak tongues?
Say that again.
What do y'all be saying when y'all speak in tongues? Because I've always wondered what were
dude,
y'all saying? I've heard it done.
I purposely just is almost like a meditative state where you're not really thinking. You're just kind of, and you're like kind of thinking ecstasy. And literally, no, but you just want to sound good because other people around you, you subconsciously know they're like watching or hearing, they're listening out. And so you want your tongues to sound better than their tongues. And so some people would sing in tongues and the whole nine, dude. But I'm not even kidding you. Like you would just kind of go.
Have you ever been to a Baptist church?
Yes, they don't do that.
I was in the Baptist church where they did it. African Baptist church. Oh, they speak in tongues.
Dude, a lot of the churches where I live definitely do the speaking in tongues thing. Look, I could speak. Alan, you're not the only one, man. I'm an atheist with the Holy Ghost, just in case you guys are wondering. You know what I'm saying?
Did you do it in a pattern, Derek? Was it did it follow like a cycle, like barabashida ba like it kind of in your head and you just rolling those noises out?
Dude, this is the thing. I was going to get baptized in the Holy Spirit after I had already asked the Lord in my heart, right? This is how the home church I was at, it was a lady pastor. Get that. A lady pastor. Paul's already hating this woman probably. Okay. And,
man,
yeah. And she's like, okay, you're going to receive, I'm going to lay my hands on you and you're going to receive the Holy Spirit. And this is dead serious what happened. And all these people that were already going to this thing were already doing it. It was awkward at first, not a very comfortable thing. I'm really not okay with this, but everybody just started doing it together, like a mantra, everyone's and I mean, I'm laying, she lays her hands on my head. I'm 13 years old, 12, 13. And she lays her hands on my head and she's like, it'll just come. It'll just come. And I'm like, she's trying to make it happen. So I just started to do it because I was listening to them and I was like, that sounds better when I sound like that than if I don't sound like this. That's just honest looking back.
Oh, so there are styles of the tongue speaking. Okay.
Yes. I went with the Master Chief style. There are the servant styles, but but no, I just started speaking in tongues, and then you start getting into the music, and I spoke in tongues when I felt things, when the song really was hitting. It's you just started doing it. It was funny, man, but it's true.
Maybe you can just say it's mumble rap.
Well, it is technically. They say it is.
I knew you'd like it.
I'm not trying to be funny, but I legitimately, believed that it was the language of angels as they teach it. And I really believed that it built faith that you can't see. So they talk about it when you speak in tongues, the prayers you aren't saying to God to ask him to protect this or to do these things that you aren't thinking of, you're actually saying it in this gibberish that God is filling in those gaps for you. That's why Paul prayed in tongues more than everybody. But he was trying to really get the Corinthians to calm down and chill out because they were doing crazy stuff, I suspect. But I really would do that. And then finally one day I started considering the argument that speaking in tongues was only for a time period and it ceased. And then I was like, okay, how do you wrestle with this stuff? Did it stop? Why did I speak in gibberish all those years? So as a Christian, I'd explain why I was wrong about speaking in tongues for so long. And dude, I moved around. Then I had Christians accusing me, you change doctrines wind, you go with the wind with doctrines. You just go with the flow and whatever you hear. And that's their way of trying to say, believe what we said the first time and stop trying to investigate and consider new ideas. And I'm sorry that I could not. That just goes against who I am to not consider new evidence and arguments and things like that. I'm done.
You know what? That was a problem with me. Whenever I was told, just believe. Just believe. Don't think about anything. Just believe. That was my problem. You know what? Why will I just continue to believe something and it's not adding up? I have a brain. My brain, it wants to know things, And the only way to know is to
discover
read and to figure out and to discover it. Exactly. But if you just believe, you're not going to allow yourself to discover anything.
That's a really good question. How did you discover this? I mean,
In
you
terms
asked that
of
to some. Wait a minute.
Sorry.
I mean, you
Go
ask
ahead.
someone, how do you discover this? If he's religious, he says, oh, well, you die, you go to the afterlife. Oh, cool. How did you discover this? It says so.
yeah, who started it and why? Well, and
Yeah.
there's
And how did he
interesting-
discover it? I don't know.
Well, I heard, and I
Doesn't
could be wrong. Maybe you guys can piece this together with me. I heard that afterlife, the underworld, for example, if you go back to Egypt, and this, I could be completely wrong, guys. This might be some pseudo stuff that I picked up along the way. I'm totally open to that. But the idea that Ra, the sun god, would go beneath the horizon into the underworld to battle Set. Yeah. So he would go into the underworld, which they thought the horizon, once you went down, you're inside the earth. They thought the sun went inside the earth. They didn't have the cosmology we have today with the science we know today. The edge of the horizon was, you know, you got heaven above and you got earth below. The same way, like in the Bible teaches, the stars are getting stored into storehouses when the sun comes up. Like, all right, angels, time to sweep up the stars and put them back in the storehouses, and we'll bring them back out tonight. Like, that's how they thought. So going down in the underworld to fight darkness, and like all of these cosmologies develop from those primitive perceptions that the sun goes down into the underworld. And when you died, you traveled through the underworld as well, and tried to get to the, I guess, I don't know, try to get to something like heaven, if you will. I don't know.
No, I don't agree with that. I don't think that interpretation of the Egyptian mythology is true. I don't think they were describing the day and night cycle at all. I mean, it explains some of the stuff. It doesn't explain everything else, which is a fail in my opinion.
They had that weighing of the heart myth, the ancient Egyptians, didn't they?
Yeah, they have that too, but that's not related.
But I mean, in terms of their afterlife mythology, right? That would be related in that sense.
Well, it would be relevant, but it wouldn't be relevant to the journey of Ra. It becomes even more confusing when you're
journey of Horus, actually.
Right, Horus or Ra. I mean, they're kind of intersimilar. They have just need to be the sun god, and there are various. You know, the identity of the name of the sun god changes, but it's the same guy.
It's actually Osiris, his father, who was killed by Seth, and then
Horus, but they kind of are interchangeable. And from my understanding, they are in the. Yeah, but that's in later on. Before that, because you got to remember, these Egyptian myths used to be around. There used to be several interpretations of the Egyptian myths, and then they became unified into one kingdom. There was something like 7 cities, and they all had 8 glory gods, and one of them had 9. And I'm fuzzy on the details because it's very confusing and very murky. But no, you got to remember that somehow. You got to remember that Nut and Jeb were the vehicles on which this Horus sailed into the afterlife. Now, what they were the ship themselves in the ark, and that doesn't seem to have anything to do. I mean, look, this theory is good for explaining some of the stuff. It's not good for explaining everything else, which is why I can't accept it.
Oh, I don't accept it. I know it's myth. That's all.
No, I know it's. I'm not saying. I'm saying the interpretation of myth doesn't fit because it doesn't integrate all the rest of the stuff, like the role of Jeb and Newt and the bark, and the rotation of it seems, it's too weird. I'm sorry. I mean, this is supposed to be weird, so it should be weird, but.
Real quick, guys. I've got to ask Jacob, are you still doing your Religion 101 channel?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. Guys, if you would subscribe to Jacob's channel. I've got to get off of here to record here, but I wanted to show you guys a few things here and, plug my boys here. So we got Digital Gnosis. He changed his thing here. That's actually pretty cool. Who did that art for you?
Wow, how much do you left?
That was me when I was 17. But so yeah, the logo. Some guys, I did like a little competition on the Discord, and someone did the logo, and then someone else did the banner, and the community just voted those as the winners. So I put them up.
Oh yeah, I also have a YouTube. Oh, sorry. Sorry.
In the discussion, they're in like I'm gonna the two guys who did it, a guy called Rahul and a guy called Nathan.
Yeah.
I've put their links in the descriptions of some of my videos, or at least new ones that happen from now on. So if people wanted to get them to do stuff,
That's awesome, dude. Definitely go subscribe, hit that bell all. I don't know why I didn't have it all. Now I have it all. Okay. I get notified every time, and you can harass me with all the videos that you have so I can see when you're on and I can come and bother you, man. And yeah, no, I really do appreciate it, man. Go subscribe to his channel as well as Religion 101. My boy Jacob Berman. Here's his. And make sure you guys subscribe. He does a lot on the Roman provenance, but also Jacob's into some interesting stuff that you probably aren't going to hear anywhere else, to be honest. You're not going to find it anywhere else. Jacob is actually investigating a lot of new theories of trying to put together who these people are. Maybe there's some really interesting people that might fit the bill in different names, almost like they're synonyms to some degree that are being utilized, but also wondering, like, for example, Dr. Price talks about Paul possibly being Simon Magus. Right. Well, he's finding reasons in the literature for why Paul fits that bill. Well, Jacob does the same things with not only Paul, but other characters. And he's trying to piece together, what is this conspiracy of Christianity that we have? Is there a cover up? You know? So he's big into that, man. Of course, Nathan. Dude, just write the check. I'll give you the address. Don't worry, man. We're good. I'm just kidding. Can you post the links in the chat? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
right
I do
now.
got a channel too.
Do you? You got a channel? What's your channel, brother?
Yes, it's called Scripture Ripless.
Scripture Breakfast?
Scripture Ripless.
Spell that last one.
Scripture Ripless. Ripless. R-I-P-P-A-Z.
Okay. All right. Ooh, there he is.
R-I-P-P-A-Z.
Gotcha.
Just send the link, dude. Send the link. It's gonna be easier.
Yeah, I just want to show people so they know what they're looking for. Right here. I haven't subscribed yet, but I am right now. So when you drop videos, I'll be notified. And there we are. Oh, and you're often on Dagger Squad. You're always live with Dagger Squad. His name's Garfield. Always talking about interesting stuff and getting into scholarship. So go subscribe to him, guys. Post your YouTube links. Can you guys post them down here, or
I'll do that.
Post them.
You need to give privileges to put the links in the chat, by the way, but we can put them in the comments after, I guess.
Okay, you could.
Do me.
Yeah. Do you have one?
Yeah, it's in the chat thing on the.
Let me click it. All right,
it's above.
Here we are. Everybody's got a man. No wonder you guys are on here. You guys have channels yourself. All right, hold on. Here we go. Let's see. All right, not that type of nerd. Subscribing.
Okay. So it's a pretty new channel. I have some stuff. I'm gonna put more stuff. It's mostly comedy. Here's Titus was Darth Vader and Christianity is the Death Star.
Awesome.
There's James. Saul from the Sandy Shithole hears about Luke and Jesus.
That's awesome, man. Oh, wow. You did a couple with James. James is
James
awesome.
Is so funny. He's so funny.
He's a good guy, man. Everybody show him some love and subscribe. Hey, when we get done with this video, in the comments section under the video, post your links. I hope it'll allow it. YouTube sometimes censors things like that. I'm not going to censor it, of course, if it'll go through, and make sure that you guys are there. Go show them some love. Hey, this little floating message at the bottom of the screen, guys, I'm trying to plug, of course. I have the Patreon. There's well over 100 videos that I haven't launched on YouTube. You guys can go watch, mostly with Dr. Robert and Price. I mean, over 100 on the Patreon. As little as $3 a month, you can join and watch all that material. If you guys are able to help more, it helps me out a lot. So I really
want it.
Yes. I'm about to do a recording right now when we get off of here with John. John knows the Norse stuff.
Yeah, y'all can also...
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
Oh, I have a question for John. Oh, sorry, not my turn.
He's not here now. Sabio.
I was gonna say one more thing real quick.
Please.
I was gonna say one more thing, and I was gonna hush. about one more channel. It's a Star Edge channel that I'm a part of, the Pseudo Killer.
The Pseudo Killer?
Conquest and the Pseudo Killer. We talk about science, the coronavirus. Pseudo Killers.
Your audio's in and out. Do me a favor.
Z-A-Z. Pseudo Killers.
Pseudo Killers. Can you, when we get done with this, do me a favor, post it in the comment section under yours. Just post the link there. Everyone, when you get done, check that out. And you guys can go subscribe to these channels if you haven't already looked them up. And you can watch this video back too to see those channels and show them some love, man. Thank you guys for hanging out with me.
Wait. Before you go, I have one thing to ask John. John said that Thor isn't the god of lightning, but if he's not the god of lightning, why does he have Mjolnir that is the weapon that produces lightning?
Good question. I will ask him. I will ask him. You said Thor? Or are you talking about Odin? Odin?
Thor? No, Thor.
Here,
even though Odin has like a...
You just asked him, and look, he said he resurrected from the dead, guys, just now. So if you don't believe in miracles. John,
I'm the one who resurrected him.
You did. You have the power. Ask your question of John, and then we'll be getting off to do our video recording off of here.
Yeah, if Thor is, you said that Thor isn't actually the god of thunder and lightning, and if he's not, well, why does he have Mjolnir? That's what Mjolnir does. It zaps people.
In the Marvel movies, it does, yes.
No, I mean even in it doesn't it do that in the other? Doesn't he use it to like fight lava whales or something?
It uses it to fight, but there's nowhere in the Eddas where he uses it to create thunder or lightning. However, his name does mean thunder, and so perhaps he was a storm god briefly, but his role in the pantheon as we know it is a sky god, and he replaced him as that sky god.
Also, just another note I noticed. You know, there are like descriptions that say that his hammer was bent and curved like a spiral.
Yeah.
You know, that actually is similar to the way they depict Zeus's thunderbolt. It's supposed to be the same funky shape.
Yes.
So I mean,
so Zeus and Jupiter and Tyr, who's the original sky god,
and Indra, and
exactly.
even like they all have like the same weird depictions of lightning that are like, you know what I mean? It's like this.
And they all fight serpents, and
you know, they all fight serpents and they shoot it.
Exactly.
And it's even true for like Mesoamerican gods. Apparently, they have the same type of funny.
I'm not so sure the American gods, but yeah, it's fascinating to know. But yeah,
Quetzalcoatl is supposed to be like a serpent lady.
Who?
Quetzalcoatl, Mesoamerican god.
That's an Aztec god, and it's male god.
No, which one of them is that? Katupali?
It's all right, guys, check it out. I'm gonna go ahead and end this live here. I love you guys. Thank you so much for joining me, man, on MythVision. And we got to go hang out. Go hang out at Nathan. Nathan, when are you doing your next live?
Bro.
Yeah, probably sometime next week. I think I'm pretty busy this week, but it might maybe one this week, maybe a random sort of spontaneous one, but definitely a week on Sunday. Those big bad apologetics ones where we take like deep dives into philosophical arguments for like 8 or so hours. If you're into philosophy, you'll like those.
Go check him out, Jacob. If you start doing lives on YouTube, because I know you do them on Facebook from time to time, you'll get notified by hitting that bell. And if any of you guys go live, make sure you guys go check that out real quick. And I'm about to click off of here. Here's Pseudo Killers. Go subscribe to the channel. He's got 618 subscribers, and these guys are into scholarship. This is what they're trying to do, is educate the Black community, if you will, especially in America, on scholarship. I can't ask anyone to do more. That is the greatest gift you can do, is to educate people and teach them proper ways of critical thinking and understanding where we come up with the ideas that we do without being pseudo in our thinking. So, Sabio, thank you so much, bro. You know it, man.
What?
You know it. And guys,
thank you, Derek. I appreciate all y'all.
I was gonna say, hit up some of those hip hop stars. Tell them I have the gift of mumble rap, and I am so down for hitting that track.
Why would he know? Why would he know hip hop stars?
Look, he's got direct connections with Drake and all of them boys. So
I don't know who that is.
I'm just teasing. All right, guys, I love you guys, and don't forget, if you guys have forgotten, We
And then all the more. You
are
silly, Keith, bro. You silly.
MythVision. We're
I'm not.
MythVision. All right, guys.